Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Barakah, Kudash. Double honors unto the elder apostles, the great Milson, rule well, and shalom to the whole full that. Um, the title of this video will be determined upon upload. But what I want to delve into is basically this word that we've received is been given to us divinely through the will and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Barakah, Kudash. Postar recently done a video speaking about once you lose this truth, you can't get it back, which is, a fear that ruminates through, the sincere Akim as far as this truth, the 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 preciousness of it, and that's a gift from the Heavenly Father, and it's only given to a chosen few. You can go on like when you receive the truth, you probably went on to your best friend or people with similar mindsets and presented them the truth and thought that they would, rejoice in receiving it just like you, and they didn't take to it the way you took to it. And then, it's likened onto a Pharaoh, his heart being hardened, okay? That, they may have, heard something, says, that makes sense. But then as far as the rest of it, they found themselves, not really resonating with it. And they really, over the, you know, throughout the course, me speaking from a personal standpoint, throughout the course of the years I've been in this truth, various different experiences, seeing different things, and men that, were, I don't want to say exalted to the mountains, but men that had, a great name and was, edifying to a great number of brothers within this truth. They're not in the truth no more. All right. And there's brothers that would have came in and they don't know about these certain individuals and how impactful they were on the ministry. All right. And it's really, once it's gone, it's gone. But in light of saying all that, that really speaks to the divinity of the, receiving of it. That the way it's given to you, it's not given to many mighty or noble or wise, it's given really to those that are of no great standing in the world. It rarely is given to those things I mentioned before, but it's really just given to, you know, simple individual, kind of just, I ain't no one special. And the most of the brothers starting with the apostles on down, they would say the same thing as well. But it really shows you the greatness of this truth. So I've got a couple of precepts I want to go into. I'm going to start off with this one straight to the point. This is the book of John 7 and 15. It says, and the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned? All right. So Yahushua went up into the temple, as you read into this account, in the midst of the feast. I believe it was a feast of Passover. I believe it was, no, the Feast of Tabernacles. So this time which we're presently in the Feast of Tabernacles, going back to that, so we're presently in a similar time, and he was teaching in the midst of the temple, and he had such a good grasp of the scriptures and the understanding of the word that when they heard him teach, they marveled, they were in awe because they wondered, it was like any world, all right, like a simple one. I know you can relate it to your neighborhood, all right. Your neighborhood, or as we say over here in the UK, London, your ends. Everyone in your ends knows you as a certain way, and they know you for certain things. And if one day For example, used to pop up driving big, like some bad boy car, and you had jewelry and a nice kettle, watch. A kettle is a watch on your wrist. People will be like, bro, where did my man get all of this stuff from? If you wasn't known for that type of stuff, all right, because there's all these. I'm gonna deal with it on a criminal level. All of these little shits, these criminals, yeah, these demons, these gremlins, these YNs, YGs. They basically they all know each other because they conspire together. They wind up in young youth offenders together. They go through the prison system together. They go to the same functions. They fuck with the same girls. They There's a world they live in. All right, so they know each other now. You deal with the corporate world. It's the same thing. There's going to be people in the corporate world. They're going to be revered for the deals they've made, their wit and intelligence, because there will be a circuit. There'll be bars and clubs and different educational, what you call it, educational, what's escaping, like circuits you'll go on for anything. It's no different with the word. All right, for you to get access to the scrolls and the learnings that they have of the word, you'd go up to, the temple, and you would deal with the priesthood. Just look at Paul, for example. Paul was known because why? Gamaliel, all right? Gamaliel taught him, and Gamaliel was a upstanding man, all right, a pillar, as you will during that time. So there would have been a point of reference to say, yeah, Paul taught, I taught Paul. He, was a Pharisee. He's well studied. He did this. He did that. So he would have had a profile. But with Yahushua, that wasn't the case. So let me read again, John 7:15. And the Jews marveled, saying, how knoweth this man letters, having never learned? Right. So he never went through the school system that they had in place. All right. Tutelage that was present for most of the men back there. But somehow, some way, he was adept with the word of the Heavenly Father. And that's because really the Heavenly Father bestowed, Yahushua had it in full. He's a word manifest. We go to Psalms 40, it speaks about uh, where it said, lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written of me. That speaks to Yahushua. John broke it down in John, the first chapter, how they was made manifest and come in the flesh and they knew him not. All right. So this man knew everything. Okay. And in turn, we received it of him. Okay. The Father of lights, you know, brought forth Yahweh Shai, which basically in turn gave us everything that we have in this day. All right. So with that being the case, he was able to present a level of understanding that none of them knew. Everything that they learned, the understanding, the level of understanding they would have had. But what he brought it to was a whole next level. All right. So I want to echo that sentiment with everything I said with Amos, right? Amos. So let's go to the book of Amos, the seventh chapter, and we're going to start from verse 10. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos have conspired against thee in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words. All right, so that's how much uh, of a presence he had. All right. For thus Amos saith, Jeroboam shall die by the sword, and Israel shall surely be led away captive out of their own land. Also Amaziah said unto Amos, O thou seer, go flee thee away into the land of Judah, and there eat bread and prophesy there. All right. So him preaching in the land of, house of Jeroboam, him preaching in the land of Israel, the kingdom of Israel, you know, heavy. As we know, when Jeroboam came into power, he presented two calves and said, and basically secured his rulership over the kingdom of Israel. Because as Hosea said, Ephraim is, lead them alone, they're joined up to idols. They basically, he took great authority over the kingdom of Israel by way of those idols. All right, and him shooing him away, telling him to go to Judah. It's to show that they were more in alignment with the Heavenly Father. All right, and that he really was bringing a big stink, as he felt, all right, into his kingdom, which is foolish, just because the whole reason Jeroboam obtained the throne of the kingdom of Israel after the split is because it was prophesied unto him by a prophet of the Heavenly Father. All right, when his garment was torn into 12 pieces and it was separated, that he should gain the 10 tribes away from the two that the kingdom of Judah had. All right, being Judah and Benjamin. So reading on, it says, verse 13, but prophesy not again anymore at Bethel, for it is uh, Bayath Allah, all right, house of power, for it is the king's chapel, and it is the king's court. All right, oh little does you know. Then answered Amos and said to Amaziah, I was no prophet, and this is the point right here. I was no prophet, neither was I a prophet's son, but I was an herdman and a gatherer of sycamore fruit, a very lowly, just a regular degular individual. He was a shepherd, herding, all right, and gathering fruit, farming, okay, or a gatherer of fruit, should I say, more so than farming. Verse 15. And the Lord Yahweh took me as I followed the flock, and the Lord Yahweh said unto me, Go, prophesy unto my people Israel. Now therefore hear the word of the Lord Yahweh. Thou sayest, prophesy not against Israel, and drop not thy word against the house of Isaac. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in a city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword. And this is, it applied back then, but it's something we're also dealing with right now, in line with the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. These women are out here being harlots, all right? Even you have something that's currently going on that's caused a lot of hubbub down here in London, around the UK as a whole, by extension. But I say London because I'm finding out, you know, I got one individual I know very close. He told me, well, let me actually state what the issue is first. This girl, Victoria Everest, right? He come, this demon, all right? She's some health, one of them, health specialists, those head rap princesses or queens, should I say. And basically, it's come out that she gets Jake sent in for our charges, and they're falsified our charges. All right, it's all because she's on a power trip. She used to beat up her mum. She's a real demon. And an individual I deal with personally, he told me, I spoke to him about this. He said, yeah, I see her. She used to come to the gym next door. I couldn't believe it when he told me. He said, yeah, she's from around there. So she's local to where I'm at. And basically he was saying like, yeah, she it was my boy, the guy, one of the main guys in the mix right now. He was saying that's my good friend. He's the one that was with her and she got him locked up. So, and then one of the brothers in the camp even gave me even more information. So it's like this girl is just so her tentacles all over the gaff, and I'm sure if I speak to certain people, I'll find out more information. But the reason why I mention that is because she's a harlot in a city. She fulfills that prophecy. All right, and this is the worst kind of one because this is as quote unquote pro black, a queen, a head rep queen that basically is meant to be about the moving forth of our people, but she's a harlot in the city. All right. Thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword. You got this drill movement going on, a death cult, and that's basically got everyone, you know, in a sense of craze, in a demonic craze, demonic, uh, hypnosis. All right. And thy land shall be divided by line, and thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of this day. Right, but the point being is that Amos was no prophet, right? But the Heavenly Father raised him up to be one. He was basically a very simple man, a herdsman and a gatherer of sycamore. That don't require too much, wits as far as, going into the, when you deal with what the Lord is saying, all right? And this is what would cause like a lot of hubbub, someone that's a king. Like he said, don't prophesy by Yaf Allah. Why? Because it's the king's chapel, it's the king's court. That's the place where he makes judgment. All right. He is meant to be, that's why he's crowned king, because his judgment, his discernment is regarded as the highest level of discernment. But then you have some raggedy old, as these men would think, herdsman, right, a gatherer of sycamore. He's basically used, basically telling you about yourself and telling you you're gonna die. The Heavenly Father is gonna kill you, all right, and your kingdom's gonna be given over, and and all your people are gonna be led away captive. That's unsettling because you look at him like, who are you to say that? Right? That's the same way these wicked scribes and Pharisees look to Yahushua because they applied themselves for many years to be on a high level. But this man just came out of nowhere, Joseph, the carpenter's son, and was just setting them aright, putting them in their place as far as I understanding the scriptures. All right. And that really just shows you the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Barakah, Kodash. So let's close this. It's a book of Daniel 12 and 4. So it says, but thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. And that's the time that we're in. Because this book has been sealed, all right, going back to this prophecy, all right? But it was allotted for a time when basically prophesied of by way of Elijah making his reappearing upon the earth, as well as John the Revelator, as it spoke, the same sentiment as it spoke of in the book of Revelation, I believe, the 10th chapter, 10 and 10, where it speaks about that it will be set before many people and prophesy again. All right, so this word was basically being opened to the understanding of it all in this day that we're in right now. And the only reason why it's open is because it's the time of the end. All right, so with it being the time of the end, you know, these the words of the book are going to be shown, and it's going to be done by men that, even starting with, we start from a simple standpoint of the Israelites, all right? That is, we could even specify to Daniel. Daniel is a so-called black man, so-called black Hispanic or Native American man, all right, in this day and age. And with that being said, those are the least that are looked upon as far as being God's chosen, all right? The children of Israel in a cursed state, and no one regards them as the children of Israel, as it tells you in Hosea, the first chapter. All right, and the place where it said that you are not my people, there shall it be said that ye are my people. You are the people, the living power. So no one regards us as such. So with that being said, it says a whole lot, all right, as far as concerning um, these words being revealed. Because beyond that, it's even then it ain't even going to be the people you'd think, like a Jay-Z or someone that has great authority. It's just going to be a regular, degular individual that just came out of the same public school system, or maybe not, but just the same kind of things that you witness day to day, but they're going to be speaking the great words of the Heavenly Father, all right, and making everything be known. So with that, I pray you are edified to the next one, inshallah.